Welcome everyone to Sister Wives with Mary Jane Kay. Today, I'll be breaking down Sister Wives Season 1, Episode 6, A Fourth Wife to Be. This is going to be a great episode. Robin tries to justify getting different standards to the other wives as far as time and other things when it comes to her courtship and relationship with Cody. Let's get into it. I'm sure you guys remember the last episode. I mentioned how Robin complained about how hard it was to know where she fit in with the other wives. She said it was interesting to figure out her role and where she fit with the other wives. And she was mildly complaining about wanting a defined place as a fiancé who had moved just 2 weeks ago. And this episode, it gets even worse. Everything is all about Robin to Robin. It's a Robin-centric world, in my opinion, from what we see on the show. We see Robin seem more concerned about herself and her place, complaining that the other wives haven't made her place clear yet. They haven't come with the red carpet for her. After just 2 weeks, when their whole world and everything they have ever known for over 20 years is shifting. But Robin seems more concerned about how everything affects her, and she seems to have an inability to really understand what the other wives and kids in the Brown family have to go through in order to adjust to absorbing her and her kids. And it's more than just a financial adjustment, but emotional, an adjustment to the dynamics of the existing Brown family, an adjustment to the dynamics in the communication of their family and to the hierarchy and to the splitting of time. Everything adjusts within the existing world of the Browns in order to absorb and integrate Robin and her kids. But 2 weeks into moving, Robin is already saying that it's interesting finding where she fits with the wives. And it seems that she seems concerned about them not extending themselves more to her. And if I was Robin, the ideal, fiance coming into a family, I would think that she should be patient and understanding that all the wives and kids have ever known is shifting beneath their feet. We have to remember, Cody didn't start having kids with all of his wives until all the wives were already in the family. So all the kids in the Brown family have ever known is having Mary, Janelle, and Christine as moms since they were babies. And everything now is shifting for all of them, and they've already gotten so used to their dynamic with the three of them. But Robin's main concern seems to be herself. And we see that again at the start of this episode, so I really want to highlight it. Now, at the start of this episode, there's a scene where Cody is at Robin's cutting up celery, and they're being very playful, hugging, smiling, being flirty, all smiles, being blushy. And Robin explains that she and Cody have been engaged for a while now. And Robin is now sitting on the couch with the three other wives, and she says it's been a long courtship and engagement, and she is ready to be married. She's on the couch with the wives as she says this, and they simultaneously look at her with disdain and hurt in their eyes, and it's very clear in that scene. You can just see it. It hurts them or pains them that Robin is gushing about wanting to be married and saying the engagement was so long. And we have to remember that engagement was very painful for them. They found out that Cody kissed her at the engagement when they didn't kiss until the altar. We find out that she gets her own rental paid for basically by the Brown family. We find out that now she demands equal time with Cody, even though she's not yet married to them, taking more time away from his existing wives and kids. So, that engagement was very painful for them, and Cody would have to go away when she lived far away. She lived 5 hours away, and he would spend weekends away from his wives, away from his kids, and they already split the time 3 ways at that point, and then they were giving even extra time to Robin. So it was very painful for them, and now she's complaining that the engagement was so long. Mary explains that having Robin come into the family definitely shifted things. It shifted how the family works, and it shifted how Cody works. Robin says there has been tension about Cody's time and if she should get equal amounts of time as a fiancé or if she shouldn't yet get equal amounts of time because she isn't yet married to Cody. Janelle says to her there is no difference between a wife and a fiancé. She says in polygamist culture, by the fiancé's engaged point, you're committed. According to Janelle, it's basically a done deal. Christine disagrees. She doesn't think a fiancé has the same privileges as a wife. She doesn't believe Robin should get the equal time of one of every 4 nights. Christine feels that's not fair to her. She says when they're married, then Robin gets equal time, of course. My question is, how did every other wife that joined the family do it? At the point of engagement, were they treated as a wife getting equal time, or did they wait until marriage? If they waited to kiss at the altar, my guess would be the equal time would come with the marriage ceremony. the time gets removed from his other wives and kids to go to Robin, who as a fiance gets to be treated as a wife and get the equal time. So unless Christine and Janelle and Mary all got equal, well, I guess Mary doesn't count in this equation since she was the first wife, but unless Christine and Janelle got equal time as engaged fiancés, as Mary or whatever the wives were as they entered the family, Robin should not get it either. Of course, Robin says she disagrees, and she has her justifications of why she gets to bend the rules, of course. She says because her courtship had to go for so long, so it's hard, then, that justifies why she should get equal time. So it's hard for Robin to hear Christine say that. So for Robin, in her special case, it's irrelevant what the other wives did. Her courtship was so long, so because of that, it changes and bends the rules for her, apparently, and it justifies that bending of rules. Robin says that time was needed for the kids and for her to build that relationship with Cody. Mary chimes in, saying that she gets that Robin says the time was needed, but she agrees with Christine. Mary says there are just certain things that, and Robin gets snarky and interrupts Mary, and she asks, well, yeah, and then she shakes her head no, and she purses her lips, and she does a tongue jut, and those types of body language behaviors can indicate distaste or disdain. And she asks Mary, like the thing, and she does air quotes, and she's referencing sex. And Mary goes, not the thing, and she's smiling awkwardly, and Robin goes, okay. Why did Robin's mind go there directly as if Mary was mentioning that? And Robin maybe knows she's guilty of going there pre-marriage, in my opinion, because she seems extra defensive. And she's the one that brought it up. Mary said nothing about that. Christine was mentioning not wanting Robin to have equal time until after marriage. She wasn't mentioning sex at all. And Mary said she agreed with Christine that certain things are for after marriage. And Robin asked the thing, and she shook her head no. She pursed her lips, she jutted her tongue, intervening quickly as if she was defensive or feeling very guilty because they were mentioning time being equal after marriage, and Robin is the one who brought up sex and did an awful lot that looked like she felt guilty or defensive when no one even brought up or mentioned sex. So does she feel guilt? I thought that was really weird, and I thought that was a big red flag, just in my opinion. Mary says once the wedding happens, go do whatever you want. Spend every fourth night with her. Mary tells Robin that she's sorry because she knows Robin is getting, irritated about this. And Robin tells Mary she gets it. But it's really hard for her because she moved her whole entire life, her kids, she pulled them out of school, she changed jobs. What job did she change? Because she's not working as far as we know other than filming the show. She changed school, she changed all of her life, everything to be there close to the Brown family, and now she isn't allowed, or it's as though she shouldn't have this time and it's not justified for her to have this time, the equal time with Cody as a fiance. So again, her reasoning to get the same equal time as a wife, although she's a fiance and the other wives didn't get that equal time as fiancés, are now because her courtship was longer than usual and also because she moved herself and her kids to be closer to the family. So that makes her deserve the special treatment of equal time as a wife before she is a wife in a lifestyle where Cody's time is already split 3 ways and everything his current wives and kids has ever known is ripping apart and shifting beneath their feet. So Robin wants to take even more time from the kids and the wives that they might need to be able to adjust to this. Poor Robin. She sacrificed so much, so she is entitled to change the rules and drain more of Cody's time than the other wives got before marriage, and it's okay and it's justified because she needed it, and her courtship was longer, and she moved. What do the other wives and kids get for having their whole family dynamic and world shift? They're sacrificing time, they're sacrificing money, and a whole lot of other things. They're sacrificing everything they've ever known. Robin feels because she sacrificed and she moved her kids and she moved her job and blah, 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 that it's justified for her to get this time stolen from Cody's existing wives and kids, that justifies bending the rules for her. So the wives and the kids have to adjust and their whole lives, everything in their whole lives. So what do they get back from Robin because they sacrificed? Where's their bending to them? What do they get out of it? they're getting more mouths to feed. They're getting less time with Cody. But because Robin makes a sacrifice to have a move where her rent is paid, the family gets less. And now she wants a prize for her sacrifice. And she wants equal time and to take it from the existing family structure as a gain or reward for her sacrifice. But how is she rewarding the other wives and kids of the Brown family for their sacrifice of absorbing her and her kids financially, emotionally, time-wise, dynamic-wise within the family? Mary tells Robin she realizes that she moved cities and that's a big thing, but everybody's life is being put up in upheaval with Robin joining the family. Good for Mary telling Robin how it is. All Robin says is, yeah, I know. She shows not a shred of compassion. When she is upset by someone or something, she cries, she puts on a show, she apologizes to cameras, she tries to paint herself like a victim, like she's so hurt, but she hurts others who she says swell her heart with love, but her level of empathy and compassion and understanding for the upheaval she causes is just, yeah, I know. And trying to justify why she deserves different standards to everyone else because she sacrificed. The wives and kids' world is in upheaval because of Robin, and she knows, but she sacrificed so much moving to have her rent paid, and she had a long courtship, and she and her kids need to bond with Cody, so she needs the wives and kids to sacrifice more time with Cody for her, and the typical standards should be bent because of all she suffered as some sort of consolation prize. What is the benefit to the wives of their huge sacrifices of absorbing Robin and her kids? Can they ask for more time for them from her? They only get less finances, they get less time, and now Robin expects equal time with excuses of why it is justified for her and why she's entitled to different standards because of her sacrifice. What are the other wives and kids entitled to from her for their sacrifice to her? Certainly not the behavior they got from Robin at the tell-all this year and throughout the seasons. Robin explains that there are 5 weeks before the wedding and she is scrambling around like a mad, crazy woman. The wives, the fiance, and Cody have to do flowers, the cake testing, the reception hall, and they have to figure out dresses for everyone and all the clothes for the wedding. And so the wives get together to check everything out. Robin explains that for Mary, Christine, and Janelle, it can be challenging for them to see her go through boasting about the wedding plans, saying, yay, I'm getting married, to see Robin plan the wedding in front of them. So Robin thought it would be fun to include everyone in the wedding planning. They go to pick flowers, and the lady asks if Robin is getting married, and she says she is, and the lady asks if Janelle, Mary, and Christine are Robin's sisters or her moms. Robin says they are her advisors. She says she sat there for months trying to figure out a way to differentiate her sister wives from other people at the wedding. And she wanted Mary, Janelle, and Christine to feel special, beautiful, included, and happy. Robin wants each of Cody's wives to choose their own flowers. Janelle says she would do calla lilies and little roses. And Robin says, as long as it's color coordinated to her brown color, her colors are going to be brown, basically, with a little bit of lavender, I believe, but mainly brown. Christine asks if she can go with a wrist corsage because she would have Truly to hold. Robin tells Christine she can do whatever she wants. And Christine asks the shop lady, Truly is super cute. Want to see a picture? And Truly looks adorable. And Christine explains that Truly is just 3 weeks old and she's wonderful. She says she sleeps through the night and she's a miracle baby. And Christine always wants to hold her 24/7. So she gets nothing done. And Janelle complains that she doesn't ever get to hold Truly because Truly is so attached to Christine. Mary says she loved that Robin involved them, but she was careful not to be intrusive. She says just because she is the first wife, it doesn't mean she calls the shots. She jokes she likes to think she does, but she doesn't. And Christine jokes that Mary wishes. Mary says it's Robin's wedding. She calls the shots. Mary, it doesn't stop with her wedding. Robin is going to call the shots all the way into getting you to divorce Cody later on and all sorts of other things as well. Wow. So we learn that the wives will all be wearing brown, and the shop lady mentions it, and Christine takes a dig. And she says, boring brown? Is that what you just said? Back to the shop lady. And the shop lady says, no, I said, are you guys wearing brown? I don't think Christine misheard the flower shop lady asking if they were all wearing brown. I think Christine doesn't like brown for a wedding color, and she took a dig at it. I think it's really odd to pick the color of shit as your wedding color, but they are the Brown family, so maybe that's why. Janelle says Robin wasn't joking when she said the color was like the color of coffee beans. Mary is choosing a flower that goes over her shoulder rather than a standard bouquet. Robin explains that she told everyone to do their own thing and pick what's exciting and fun for them, that they will love. Next, the wives and the fiancé Robin are going to head to cake testing, and Cody comes along because Cody has strong opinions on the cake. Cody tries to take some chocolate cake off of Christine's plate, and she pushes his fork away, and he goes to Mary and he asks to take some of her chocolate cake, and she lets him, and Cody tells her what a sweet and loving wife she is. Janelle says she doesn't know what they thought of the Browns at the cake place. Robin says she doesn't care. They had a blast there cake testing, and that is what she wanted. Mary says she doesn't think that they were sitting there announcing polygamists, raising the alert siren. Robin jokes unless all the wives decided to kiss Cody simultaneously. Let's hope not with that cold sore. Cody has a cold sore at the cake testing, and that kind of love shouldn't be multiplied. Mary says that might be kind of obvious if they were all kissing Cody at the same time. Now, I'm not shaming cold sores. A lot of people get them. It's very common, but there is a prescription medicine that you can take to stop an outbreak right in its tracks so that the cold sore is barely visible and doesn't fester and it doesn't progress. Also, there is a natural amino acid supplement that you can take called lysine that prevents it naturally. There's also other topical stuff. There's a lot you can do to prevent cold sores from festering and getting into the really ugly stages. But Cody seems to have a cold sore, and Robin has a huge cold sore as well in some of her couch scenes. So I would hope the cold sore-free wives stay away from kissing Cody when he has an active cold sore, because that's not the type of love they need multiplying within the Brown family. There is no need to suffer through cold sores. There are prescriptions or there are natural things you can do like lysine. I have never understood why some of the Browns, particularly Robin and Cody, go on camera with huge cold sores when there are tons of things you can do so that you don't have to go through that. When they can easily take responsibility as adults and manage it very easily. Anyways, today, by the way, Mary has used sitting there. She's used a couple times. And I believe Robin has also used sitting there. And I think that would be a very fun drinking game. Anyways, so the way they're picking the cake is everybody there can vote, and they can vote for their top 2 favorite cakes. So everybody gets 2 votes. And Robin asks the shop clerk to help them. And she says, oh, okay, I'm tallying this up. And she's very unenthusiastic about it. She asks, do I need to tally this up? And her arms are crossed, like, please, people, I don't want to be doing this right now. Everybody is supposed to close their eyes like this is an elementary school game for children, because no one can see what the other person picks by raising their hands. And Cody asks if everyone's eyes are closed, and he gets up and he does some type of spastic dance. I mean, it looks horrible, like he's having a stroke, to make sure everyone's eyes are shut tight. Cody is made for Robin because this embarrassment to dance everywhere, it's like super embarrassing. And Cody does the spastic dance, and we know Robin did her breakdancing video that was incredibly super cringe and embarrassing, and she was really proud to show it as if she had some really good moves. So these two are soulmates when it comes to the terrible dancing and all. I think Cody knows he's making an ass of himself, but he loves to showboat, so he doesn't care if he's embarrassing himself. But with Robin's breakdancing fiasco, I think she really thought, like, look at me, look how young and pretty I was, look how I'm hot shit, look how impressive my dancing was, in my opinion. Like, she has moves, and she was, like, proud to show it. I would have been embarrassing hiding that tape in the closet, not wanting to show it. I mean, that's very embarrassing and cringy, but, I mean, I think that's the difference. Cody knows he's making an ass of himself, but I think Robin, genuinely, her ego, like, she thought that her dancing was great. Anyways, Cody wants the cake with the strawberry filling, and he tells Robin to please pick his favorite as they're doing the vote, and he has 2 hands up asserting that he gets 2 votes so that his cake will win. This is so infantile. Why are they even voting at all if Cody is going to decide ultimately? This is infantile, like completely childish and petulant. What is Cody's odd fixation with cake? We saw that with the tree cake in one of the episodes I covered, and now this. I wonder if Cody likes home baking. I wonder if he's like a pro baker. He seems really, really, really into cake. Cody says the voting went well, just as he wanted it to go. He got his way by force by adjusting the rules to win it, just like Robin wants her share of time as an equal wife, and she added reasons to justify taking her way, even though she wasn't a wife yet, and it wasn't fair, and it wasn't technically equal. These two, Cody and Sabin, are made for each other. They're cut of the same cloth, in my opinion. Mary told Robin she's a sucker because she gave in and voted for the cake Cody asked her to for him, and Robin gets genuinely frazzled by this, and she asks, "What do you mean I'm a sucker? I voted for it," while glaring at Mary with tons of attitude. Christine explains that Mary is saying that because Cody voted for his flavor twice, and he made it obvious to Robin by asking her to vote for it in front of everyone during the vote because he wanted it. Robin petulantly says, "Bullcrap. She had her eyes closed and she didn't even know," and she says frustratedly, "That's why we had our eyes closed." Yeah, but he said out loud, vote for my favorite right as they're doing the vote for that flavor. This is so childish. They just took the vote in front of everyone where Cody bent the rules to use his 2 votes on one flavor, and he told Robin, "Vote for my favorite," as they're doing the vote for that flavor. Cody clearly said when they were doing the vote, he said, "Vote for my favorite so I win," in front of everyone out loud when the lady announced the cake that he wanted with the strawberries. And she did vote for it, so her ears weren't closed, and she was indeed a sucker, and she got a little too defensive, just like with the sex thing, because she wants to look fair about things, and she knows that she's not. Mary says Cody was the one who told Robin, "Please pick my vote, please pick my vote," and so what did Robin do? She picked his vote, and Mary doesn't let it slide. Robin rolls her eyes, she glares, she makes faces, she even mocks people like tattletelling little kids when being called out, as if the wives or Mary's specifically are being childish when she is the childish one, just by mimicking a child and mimicking the way that they're complaining. Christine reassures Robin and tells her good job, and she tries to get a little fist bump from Robin to reassure her. And I feel like it's elementary school level shit, and Cody and Robin are like 5-year-old elementary school kids, and everyone else are the teachers like Janelle, Christine, and Mary. Janelle says it isn't always us against Cody. It's a family dynamic of 5 people. And Robin says it's very much a democracy. That aged like milk. We can see as the seasons have progressed, first of all, it's not really a democracy where every wife gets an equal say within their relationship, and then within the larger family, everyone gets to vote. If that's a democracy, then that's really scary. And we see what it's evolved into, and probably what it's always been behind closed doors, is Cody trying to get his way, insisting on his way. And if he doesn't get his way, he considers it disrespect. He considers it disloyalty and disobedience. And we now see that he's basically living monogamy with Robin because she's the only one that allows him to have his say with no fight at all. And I don't even think that within the separate relationships of Cody and his wives, he sees his wives as equals that get equal say. He dictates, we're not having sex anymore. You're going to do this. If you don't do this, then I'm going to take away sex. If you don't adjust your behavior with the wives, I'm going to take away sex. If you don't do this, I'm going to do this, to try to control and force and manipulate his way. So it's nothing like a democracy ever. And no wife really will ever get her way in the end, because even if it was done as a fair democracy, it's going to be 5 people voting and you're never going to get your way. Now, if the cake tasting vote was an example of the democracy of Cody bending rules to get his way and vote twice for one flavor and asking Robin to vote for his to get his way, and that's a democracy, that's scary. And Janelle agrees with Robin at this point that it's a democracy. I wonder how she feels about the democracy now. Robin explains that the reception is a few weeks away and they are still looking for a reception venue, so the wives and Cody check out venues. The first is a beautiful outdoor place with a beautiful outdoor garden. Robin is thinking they will have 200-ish people, I'm sure all paid for by Cody and the wives adjusting their budgets. Janelle makes it known that she hates wedding receptions. She finds receptions to be horrible and stiff. She says it's boring. You go, you sit at this table, they give you a little food, and you go home, and she hates that. Robin says she has been nervous about this whole thing because she knows Janelle. Janelle likes this place, and she was dreading the traditional, and she thinks this outdoors place is really good, and she loves it. She says she would go sit there because it's pretty, there's an outside garden, and Robin says, yay, we found something Janelle likes. Robin says when Janelle was happy and excited about the place, she thought this is the place. Christine says her wedding reception was totally different. She didn't believe that a plural wife going into a family should have a big reception. She thought that she should have a small family dinner. Janelle also didn't get to have a reception. When she chose to marry into a plural family, her friends and family were shocked by it. Another thing they aren't mentioning is, of course, Janelle was married first to Mary's brother Adam, and they divorced, and then she married Cody and became sister wives with her sister-in-law, Mary, her ex-sister-in-law at that point, Mary. And Janelle actually attended Mary's wedding, I believe, with her first husband, Mary's brother, before she in fact married Cody herself. So I don't know if her friends and family were just shocked at polygamy or that Janelle was marrying her ex-sister-in-law's husband as well. Janelle says she didn't even have enough people to invite to her reception. Christine says they all get to live vicariously through Robin's wedding and reception since they had different than Robin had. Again, with the standards. Now, the first wife typically usually gets a big normal wedding, so Mary got that. But typically when you're marrying a man who already has a wife and a family, you have like a smaller reception, a smaller wedding, a small dinner, something like that. Janelle had something small, Christine had something small, but Robin seems to be getting something even bigger than what Mary had. So there we go with the different standards. So at this wedding place, there is like a wedding ark. I know that from Gilmore Girls in Jewish tradition, they call it a huppah. I don't know what they call it. I guess it's like an altar, or it's like an ark that you get married under that you can decorate with flowers, ribbons, that kind of a thing, where the bride and groom stand during the ceremony. Anyway, they have this wedding ark there, and it's in the garden, and you stand under it during the ceremony. And Christine jokes and it's basically a metal structure with 4 poles. And Christine jokes that they can pole dance. There are 4 poles. And Robin jokes that all 4 of them can pole dance at the same time. And Cody goes, I want to see you pole dance. And I believe, to be fair, he's talking to Christine, not Robin. But Robin grabs a pole and she looks like a pro. She swings her foot around. Christine awkwardly grabs a pole. It's very awkward for her. Mary grabs the back pole and Cody stands in the center of his women, flexing and posing in a very awkward, weird way. And Janelle refuses to join in the fun or participate. Robin tries to get her to join in and she just stands there with her hands on her hips, not having it. The lady managing the venue, who's giving them the tour of the place, tells Mary that they are the most unique group of people after that. And Mary tells her, you have no idea. After checking out the gardens, the manager took the group inside to show them the menu options. The lady had 2 menus and she asked if they could share. And Mary responded, you have no idea how much we share. Janelle says she has to admit they do play with people when they meet them because a lot of times they get so much judgment that it's kind of fun once in a while to just turn the tables and be goofy with them. Janelle asked if the manager knew that they were polygamists by that time. And Christine says the manager knew at the beginning. And Janelle says when they were walking in the garden, the manager was saying that this is really great. You guys are so open. This will be a really fun reception. The manager tells them she's thinking that they're all having such a great time that she can't even keep up with the conversation. Janelle says in their area, more people think, oh, wow, when it comes to polygamists. Christine says she never thought that, and Mary as well. They've never been nervous about it. Robin jokes that Cody could just be their gay friend for all people would know. Cody gets frozen eyes, and Christine looks very unhappy with that after that comment. Robin's input. But it's funny, she mentions that people might think Cody was their gay friend because some of Cody's classmates at the reunion, there was a lady in particular that had mentioned that people thought Cody was gay growing up because of the way he dressed and some of the way he behaved. Maybe that's why Cody likes polygamy and controlling and bossing around his wives, but maybe that's why he cowers to men and wants to be accepted at all costs, whether they disrespect him or not. For example, with Ken, the way things went with Ken being incredibly disrespectful and Cody seeming to cower to him and still wanting to be his best friend regardless and wanting to be accepted with the in crowd. It doesn't matter Cody's preferences, but it's really interesting that Robin mentions that people might think Cody was the wife's gay friend when out in public. Robin explains that the last thing she needs to do with the wives is go to a bridal shop to check out dresses for the wedding so everyone can pick what will make them look gorgeous and feel good on her wedding day. Robin tells Celeste, the shop lady, that they are looking for dresses for these 3, motioning to her sister wives, and Celeste asks, oh, bridesmaids? And Robin says, not bridesmaids, just special guests. Mary explains to Celeste, the shop lady, that the criteria for the dresses is they don't want to look like bridesmaids, and they also don't want to look like mothers of the bride. So they're at a wedding dress store, and if you don't want to wear a wedding dress or a bridesmaid's dress or a mother of the bride dress, why shop at the bridal shop? Why not go to a Macy's or a Nordstrom, go to the evening gown section or the dresses section and find dresses then? Why are they at then a wedding dress shop? Janelle says she thinks it's calmed down a great deal as they get closer to the wedding because there was a lot of commotion, and she said there is still a lot of stress. Janelle says the stress is very different than the upset. She says she is more sane since Robin moved closer and things have balanced for her. She's the practical one that likes things level and chill. Mary tries on this unflattering, and it's incredibly unflattering, like a neon lime green dress, and Christine tells Mary she looks cute. There's a big bow up her waist, and there are layered ruffles on the bottom. It's really tacky and really ugly. That would be a hell to the no for me. Thankfully, Mary says she wasn't going for cute. She tries on 2 brown dresses. Each one is more matronly than the other. She also tries on a beige dress that would suit her as Cody's mother of the bride, or as Cody if she was Cody's mother. Christine tries on a metallic brown dress that doesn't suit her one bit. She tries another brown dress. Mary tells her that it's really bad. Janelle tries on what looks like a brown blazer business suit type of thing that looks like it was made for a mother of the bride or a grandma. Robin says her goal in her head is that everyone is happy at her wedding. She's been working in that direction this whole time, she feels like. Robin says she's been trying anyways, and it's her job to make sure that it's a beautiful night. Janelle tells Robin she wants a lower waistline. Robin tells Janelle she wants her to be comfortable, and that's what's most important. Janelle doesn't want a dress she can't stand. She says it's the worst. Robin agrees. No, Janelle shouldn't have a dress she can't stand if she's going to be enjoying herself sitting there in the garden. She wants Janelle to sit there in the garden and have a good time, and she wants Janelle to be comfortable. Mary says there has been a lot leading up to Cody and Robin getting married, and once the wedding day is done, they can move on and start figuring out what their new normal is again. Robin was walking around the store looking at wedding dresses as if it's her first time looking for a wedding dress for her wedding to Cody, and it hit her that she's finally getting married and joining the family. So it was a quiet moment for Robin of finally, we're here. And she scrunches up her face as she's holding a dress, feeling a dress, and she scrunches up her face for cameras at the wedding dress shop saying, I'm just getting married. And she scrunches up her face as if the tears are going to start coming. Cody says the whole experience has been a roller coaster ride, and it's very exciting, and it's also really scary. And at the end, you stop the roller coaster and you're going, oh gosh, wow. Robin comes out in a long sleeve, tight fitting dress that it curves out around the knees. It's like a very matronly mermaid style dress with long sleeves, and it has like a little bit of like pearl beading on it. I don't know why, but it kind of reminds me of Elvis. I don't know why. And then Robin tries another short sleeve, more classic puffy dress, and Janelle loves it. Robin is pretending to pick her wedding dress with Cody's wives to bond with them, when in all actuality, she and Cody went and picked out a wedding dress before this. So this wedding dress shopping with the wives was a manipulation on Robin's part, and also a deceptive backstab by Cody, who had no interest or investment with the other wives' weddings at all. He didn't help pick a dress. He didn't help pick the cake. He didn't help pick anything. He really didn't give a fuck. But with Robin, he gives all the fucks in the world. And he, in fact, went before this show that Robin does with taking the wives to pick out a wedding dress, which is supposed to be a monumental thing for a bride. She's, in fact, already picked out the wedding dress with Cody. Only first wife Mary got a reception as the first wife, and I believe Robin's reception is even bigger than Mary's. So Robin got completely different standards and investment levels from Cody as a fiance and during the courtship, and later she gets even different standards as a wife as well even. Christine says that it took a while after she got married for everything to calm down within the family. Robin is beaming. She's all smiles in every dress she's trying. In one dress, she even does a catwalk. And this is all about Robin's ego. For her, let's remember, she already picked her dress with Cody, and she's now doing this display on camera for the wives' benefit and also making viewers believe that this is a genuine moment. And even worse, the wives believe that she is having this experience exclusively with them and that their input matters and that their input counts, as if she is spending this special moment, monumental moment of picking her dress as the bride with Cody's wives as the important people giving their opinion and input. And they believe it until Cody drops the bomb that this is not an authentic moment and it's not genuine. And then he drops the bomb that he helped pick the dress with Robin when he took zero interest with his other wives' dresses or weddings at all. And if you can call a small family dinner even a wedding. Christine says it's going to take a while again for everything to calm down with Robin coming into the family, and it will not ever be like it was before Robin came into the family. And Christine liked how things were before Robin came into the family. She says it's never going to be like it was before, and she doesn't know what it will be like. So there's a lot of uncertainty there. Robin says every girl wants the perfect dress for their wedding, you know. And she was waiting for that special moment when it was like, this is the one. And although each dress was gorgeous and fun that she tried with the wives, it just wasn't quite what she wanted, so she didn't choose anything. But it's a secret now. She knows what dress she wants, and she has the dress, and she's kept it a secret from the wives. Janelle has asked Robin which dress she ended up choosing, and Robin told Janelle it's a secret. But in confessional on the couch with Cody and all of the wives, and with Robin sitting there, he says proudly that he has a bomb dropping today, and he says, you'll love this one, and Cody, his big ego, is so proud of himself announcing this. Christine says, wow, do it now, not knowing what Cody's going to announce. And Cody announces with pride and hubris, I picked the dress. Christine is shocked. Her tone completely changes, and she asks Cody, did you really? And Cody affirms, yes. He picked Robin's dress. Robin looks incredibly uncomfortable. I mean, she knows it's bad. Cody explains that he and Robin went to Lisa's bridal and they were looking at dresses together. And Robin went and picked out a dress. And Cody thought, holy cow, it's like he'd seen it in his dreams, you know. Janelle looks off in the distance like she's on autopilot mode at this point. Christine looks incredibly pissed. Mary looks neutral, and Robin is smiling. Christine says, thanks, that's just nice to do, and she's clearly very fed up and frustrated and hurt. Cody says he thinks it's important. He doesn't think it's fair that he not be involved in it. Was he as involved and invested with Mary, Janelle, and Christine? Because I think that's the issue here. He didn't even care if it was fair or not. He didn't want to be involved with his other wives' weddings at all. He didn't give a damn. But now he's picking the cake, picking the dress, being painstaking about every detail with Robin because he cares, because he's invested. And the wives notice that, and that's the issue. His other wives, Cody couldn't care less. Then Robin deceived the wives by pretending to bond with them and take time and take them along with her to find a wedding dress when she and Cody had gone alone and looked at dresses and already picked one. So it was a manipulation to the wives into thinking, I'm saving this precious moment as the bride, the most important monumental thing of picking a dress, and I'm doing it with you guys who matter to me, and your opinion and your input matters. When in all reality, she went with Cody and she picked a dress with Cody. Cody wanted to be there with Robin. He cared. He was invested in Robin being pleased and finding the perfect dress. And I think particularly Christine can see it wasn't the same experience with her, and Cody wasn't invested and he didn't give a fuck. But with Robin, he gives all the fucks in the world, and it hurts. And there is also different standards with her as a fiance, getting equal time as a wife, also the kissing before marriage, having the big reception, the honeymoon, and on and on. And I think that really affects Christine, and she notices it. And I'm sure it affects the other wives as well. Cody says it's fair and important for him to be involved with Robin in the wedding and the dress and the whole 9 yards. Christine asks Cody, when is the groom ever involved with the wedding dress? And customarily, as we know, it's bad luck. And dress shopping is for the bride is a monumental thing. It's typically done with important friends, bridesmaids, mothers, aunts, grandmothers, sisters, etc., but not with the groom. And even on the wedding day, it's supposedly bad luck for the groom to see the bride in the wedding dress before the wedding. I think the issue is Cody had no interest with the other wives. He just didn't care at all what they decided to do with any details of the wedding. He didn't care about the dress or the cake or about anything. He wasn't invested. He didn't care to be involved at all. And with Robin, he wants to be there fully invested in every part of the process. And it's different to what his other wives experienced with him and what they got from him. Christine tells Cody, like, you cared what I wore at all on our wedding? Christine says, you didn't even care. Christine says it's not cool. Mary asks, it's kind of a slap in the face? And Christine says, yes, it's not cool, Cody. Janelle says she wasn't really emotionally involved with any of the dresses that Robin tried on, but she even admits it's just weird that Cody picked the dress. Christine is upset and she asks to be done, and she asks to get up, and she gets up, she takes her mic off, and Cody tells Christine she doesn't have to do this way, as if Christine needing a moment is completely absurd. Christine tells Cody she just needs a couple of minutes, please. And Mary tells Cody to just let Christine take some time if she needs it, and that's okay. Later, everyone sits back down on the couch to continue filming the confessional scene. Janelle says for her, she felt betrayed because Robin was very quiet about what her dress looked like, which dress she chose, and it was this thing of choosing a dress with Robin that the wives had all done together as a bonding experience, and then all of a sudden, Cody says it wasn't really a for real experience. Janelle says it took her aback, obviously, but it was funny because of how excited Cody was to announce that he picked the dress. Cody is so insensitive, and Robin as well. They're equally as manipulative and toxic. They're totally cut from the same cloth. Cody was so proud to announce he picked his soulmate's dress, knowing that he had no interest with his other wives. He wasn't interested in the wedding planning at all. He just didn't give a fuck. His ego, though, and his pride and hubris wanted to boast about having the experience of picking Robin's dress with her. So he outed it, thinking he'll look like a superstar fiance, when it hurt his wives, who got different treatment from him with their weddings and with their picking of dresses. Cody only thought of himself, his ego, and Robin. He never considered the pain he would cause, and he knew it was a bomb to drop, and he announced it proudly with no compassion or sensitivity to his wives. Robin also faked a dress shopping experience, which is a classic tradition, in order to have a classic bonding moment with Cody's wives and to make them feel special to her, when it was a deceit and a betrayal, and she had gone with Cody to pick the actual dress previous to this in reality. So both ways, it's a complete betrayal from Robin and Cody. And Robin used the dress experience to try and manipulate the wives into feeling like their opinions were valued and like they mattered to her. The bonding with the wives over picking a dress helped her bond and gain points and gain rapport with the wives when it was actually all a lie. He manipulated the wives, and she manipulated the experience, and the viewers were lied to as well, to try to gain points with the wives and to try to make herself look good. So it was a manipulation on Robin's part that early on to try to gain something to her benefit. A knowing and completely inauthentic way. And she knew that she was doing this inauthentic thing to get something to her advantage. Cody picked the dress all along, and he picked the dress with Robin, and he really could care less with the other wives about the dress, the wedding, the planning. And Christine tells Cody it wasn't funny the way he announced the news, and she told Cody that he looked like an idiot. Cody always looks like an idiot and an asshole, in my opinion. But this was very insensitive, as usual. It's Cody's typical behavior. Robin chimes in that it wasn't funny to her either. It was something she had asked Cody to not share with anybody and to keep their private secret from the wives and all. Robin wanted to protect both experiences of wedding dress shopping with the wives and shopping with Cody, so she didn't feel it was necessary for Mary, Janelle, or Christine to know the truth that Cody picked the dress. It's because Robin knew Cody never was involved or cared about picking the dresses with the other wives, and she also knew Mary, Christine, and Janelle would perceive this as a bonding, important experience shared with Robin, and if they found out it was fake, they'd know it was a manipulation, and she wanted the wives to be manipulated, believing it was real, so she could keep her brownie points with them. And now Cody has revealed the truth, and he's also unraveled Robin's manipulation. Wives can see that Robin is capable of manipulation at this point, and viewers can see that the Browns are willing to do huge lies on camera. And the wives can also see how capable Robin is of intentional manipulation and deceit. Robin even admits she didn't want the wives to know. Cody says he's sorry because he got excited about something and it was just stupid. He says this was just one of those times where you just do the wrong thing. So like all the time 24/7 for Cody would be one of those times when you stupidly just does the wrong thing. Like kissing Robin during Christine giving birth and going for seconds, kissing Robin pre-marriage, giving her 1/4 of his time before she's even married, even though that isn't his family's typical standard, and then justifying it with random reasons, like Isabel's surgery and asking her to go alone, and also telling her she'll have a big scar to dissuade her from a surgery, even though she was in pain every day, and she has to do the procedure, and like asking Isabel if him not attending the surgery will make her a bitter old housewife, and on and on and on. I know you guys will bring up the full list. It will take hours for me to get through, but this isn't just a singular moment. This is Cody every day and 16 seasons of singular stupid moments added together 24/7. Christine says she can put this in a nutshell. Every woman is insane and every man is in fact an idiot. I don't think every woman is insane. I've seen a lot of men who are idiots occasionally, but typically not regularly, all of the time, 100% of the time being an idiot. Christine goes on at times, a guy can be a different type of idiot, but also what makes their dynamic more insane is that in one moment, Cody can be a different kind of an idiot to each one of his wives. Christine put that part well. Cody says this has been painful to sit here. He's feeling almost numb, he says. He says he guesses he could be less of a chump and more of a man. He guesses he could be less of a chump and more of a man. That's great advice for when Cody said that his wives were obstacles to his goals in life. I wish he heeded his own words then, to be less of a chump and more of a man. Christine tells Cody he can step it up. He's chosen this. All his wives have chosen him, and they all expect more. She tells Cody he has what it takes, and that's why they chose him. That aged like milk, clearly not. Christine, as we know, has already gotten a divorce, and she decided Cody does not have what it takes. Christine tells Cody she needs him to step it up because he can, and she asks him, okay? She says she will step it up too for Robin as well, and she promises to that. Robin cries and says she will step it up for Christine too. Really, did she step it up for Christine, this tell-all, when she threw her under the bus for saying she didn't try hard enough in her marriage and that she was able to try harder with her first husband because she's such a magical person, Robin, and has more capability to try to endure abuse? This is unbelievable. So, but she says in this scene that she's going to step it up for Christine, but that's already in season 1 when she knows she needs to step it up, and we've seen her just decline and decline and decline. Cody, of course, doesn't promise to be better. He just says, all right, and he tells Christine, please be forgiving, and she tells him to be patient, and he says, okay. Cody says it's a good time to make a request if anybody else of his wives has one, because he's going to say yes to make up for stepping in it. Cody did his wives wrong, and he doesn't seem to really understand deeply why Christine is hurt. She agrees to try and step it up with Robin and Cody, and she asks Cody to improve, and he never says he will be better, other than mentioning he guesses he can be less of a chump and more of a man. And he didn't own it fully. He says he guesses. Christine had to be the one to say she'll step it up, and Cody asked her to be forgiving, and she had asked and said that she needs patience from Cody. Cody doesn't care how his wives feel or how they will take things. It's on them to forgive, and if they struggle with it, it's on them to step it up, not on him. That's the problem. It's never on Cody. We have seen glimpses of Robin's manipulations before the wedding dress fiasco, but if there was any question of Robin's manipulative behaviors and using emotions to intentionally manipulate and deceive, we see it in her fake wedding dress shopping to gain points with the wives, all the while having gone with Cody to get a dress, and that is crystal clear meat and potatoes manipulation, and she clearly says she wanted Cody to keep it a secret forever to not ruin the sanctity of the experience. Robin didn't want to be discovered to be a manipulator or to lose her points that she gained with the wives. She wants to make them feel like they matter and they are a priority, so that they are very important to her, and that they do the number one wedding task of helping pick the dress when it was just a show for them, and Robin used it to her benefit. The secret wasn't to protect the wives' experience, it was to protect herself, outing her manipulations, and to protect Cody because he knew and she knew his wives got different standards and treatments and levels of investment from Cody, from the courtship to the wedding to the marriages themselves. That does it for this episode of Sister Wives with Mary Jane K. Please like, comment. You guys know that I love your insights that you bring to my attention. And if you can please subscribe so one day, hopefully, I can finally get that community tab. I want that tab so much and I would really appreciate it. And if you guys prefer less communications, you can decide the level of notifications you receive and for what using the bell icon. I really would love a community tab to be able to run polls for discussion topics, format preferences. I have all kinds of ideas, so please subscribe if you can. I would really, really appreciate that. I'll see you guys next week for Season 1, Episode 7, titled 4 Wives and Counting. Thanks for listening. See you guys in the comments section. I look forward to your comments. Bye!